For centuries, the alien civilizations of the Milky Way had been confounded by a cosmic mystery, an impenetrable barrier that surrounded their home galaxy, cutting them off from the rest of the universe. Generations of scholars, scientists, and explorers had dedicated their lives to unraveling the secrets of this enigma, but their efforts had been met with frustration and failure. The barrier remained an insurmountable obstacle, a tantalizing puzzle that challenged the limits of their understanding. Then, a team of human scientists and engineers were invited to join the latest international consortium seeking answers. Their arrival was met with a mixture of intrigue and skepticism from the alien academics. What could these newcomers from a relatively young and technologically primitive species possibly contribute to a mystery that had eluded the galaxy's most brilliant minds for millennia? The humans, however, approached the challenge with a boundless enthusiasm and an unconventional way of thinking that set them apart from their alien counterparts. Rather than adhering to the established theories and methodologies, they questioned every assumption, exploring unorthodox avenues of research and design. "We've been looking at this problem all wrong," declared Dr. Amelia Sinclair, the brilliant young physicist who led the human contingent. "The key isn't to find a way to breach the barrier, but to understand its true nature and purpose." Her colleagues nodded in agreement, minds already racing with new ideas. Together, they dove headfirst into the daunting task, poring over ancient texts and data logs, running complex simulations, and conducting radical experiments. The alien members of the consortium watched with a mix of fascination and skepticism, at times offering input, but mostly deferring to the humans' unorthodox approach. Weeks turned into months as the team worked tirelessly, fueled by a relentless curiosity and a determination to succeed where so many others had failed. Late into the night cycles, the humans would gather, debating theories and strategies, piecing together clues from disparate fields of study. Their alien counterparts, initially dismissive, gradually became drawn into the collaborative effort, captivated by the humans' infectious passion and innovative thinking. "There's something uniquely powerful about the way your kind approaches problems," remarked Siloth, a seasoned Vorrillian astrophysicist. "You're not bound by the same assumptions and rigid traditions that constrain us. It's as if you're able to see the galaxy with fresh eyes." Amelia smiled, her eyes sparkling with intellectual excitement. "That's precisely why we're here. Humans may be young and technologically limited compared to the great civilizations of the Milky Way, but we bring a different perspective, one that just might be the key to unlocking this mystery." As the months rolled on, the human team's breakthroughs began to mount. They developed novel theoretical models that challenged the prevailing understanding of the barrier's origins and function. Their experimental prototypes pushed the boundaries of known physics, hinting at undiscovered realms of the cosmos. The alien consortium members, initially skeptical, found themselves increasingly impressed and intrigued by the humans' unorthodox approach. Then, one fateful day, Amelia Sinclair called an emergency meeting of the entire consortium. Her eyes shone with a mixture of triumph and trepidation as she addressed the assembled aliens and humans. "We've done it," she announced, her voice trembling with excitement. "We've finally cracked the code. We know how to breach the barrier." A hush fell over the chamber as the implications of her words sank in. After centuries of fruitless efforts, the answer to the galaxy's greatest mystery was finally within reach. But what lay beyond the shimmering veil that had imprisoned them for so long? The human team, and their alien collaborators, were about to find out. The tension in the consortium's meeting chamber was palpable as Amelia Sinclair unveiled the details of the human team's breakthrough. All eyes were fixed on the young physicist, alien and human alike, captivated by the prospect of finally unraveling the galaxy's greatest mystery. "Our analysis of the barrier's energy signature and the spatial distortions it creates has led us to a remarkable conclusion," Amelia began, her voice brimming with a mixture of triumph and trepidation. "We believe the key to breaching it lies not in brute force, but in precisely calculated manipulation of the subspace fields that underpin its structure." She gestured to the holographic display behind her, which sprang to life with a complex three-dimensional model of the barrier and the surrounding space. What we're proposing is the construction of a specialized spacecraft equipped with a highly focused subspace field projector. By carefully modulating the emitted wavelengths and intensities, we believe we can create a stable tunnel through the barrier's energy matrix, effectively parting the veil and allowing passage to the other side. The alien consortium members erupted into a cacophony of murmurs and exclamations, their expressions ranging from fascination to outright disbelief. Siloth, the Vorilian astrophysicist, stepped forward, his brow furrowed in skepticism. "Forgive me, Dr. Sinclair, but your theory seems rather fanciful. Manipulating subspace fields on that scale has never been achieved, even by our most advanced civilizations. What evidence do you have that this is even possible?" Amelia nodded, having anticipated the skepticism. "I understand your doubts, Siloth. Believe me, when we first proposed this approach, even we had our reservations. But the simulations we've run, coupled with the experimental data from our prototype tests, have convinced us that it can work." She gestured to the display, which shifted to show a series of animated visualizations. "Look here. Our models show that by precisely calibrating the field projector's output, we can create a stable wormhole through the barrier's energy matrix. The tunnel would be narrow, but it would provide a secure passage through to the other side." One of the alien consortium members, a Gizrathi mathematician named Valora, leaned forward, her eyes narrowed in concentration as she studied the simulations. "Fascinating. Your calculations seem sound, Dr. Sinclair, but the energy requirements for such a feat would be staggering. How do you propose to power this wormhole projector?" Amelia smiled, anticipating that question as well. "That's where our human ingenuity comes into play. We've developed a novel power generation system based on controlled matter-antimatter annihilation. It's an incredibly efficient process that would provide the requisite energy output to sustain the subspace field manipulation." The consortium erupted into a new round of murmurs and exclamations, the alien members now visibly intrigued, if still skeptical. Siloth stroked his chin, a thoughtful expression on his face. "If your theories and prototypes hold true, then this could indeed be the breakthrough we've been seeking for centuries. But the risks involved in attempting such an endeavor are enormous. What if your calculations are off? What if the tunnel collapses, trapping us on the other side? The consequences could be catastrophic." Amelia nodded solemnly. "You're absolutely right, Siloth. That's why we're proposing a cautious, step-by-step approach. First, we would construct a small automated probe equipped with the subspace field projector. We would use it to test the feasibility of breaching the barrier and assess the conditions on the other side before attempting anything more ambitious." She paused, her gaze sweeping across the assembled aliens and humans. "I won't deny that this is an immensely risky proposition, but the potential rewards are beyond anything we can imagine. For the first time in history, we would be able to explore the mysteries that lie beyond the confines of our galaxy, to uncover the true nature of the barrier and perhaps even the origins of our civilizations. Don't you see? This could change everything we know about the universe." The consortium fell silent, the weight of Amelia's words hanging in the air. Siloth exchanged a long, measured look with Valora and the other alien members. Finally, he turned back to Amelia, his expression inscrutable. "You make a compelling case, Dr. Sinclair. And I must admit, the prospect of unraveling this enigma is tantalizing. Very well, the consortium agrees to support your proposal, but we will proceed with the utmost caution. The first priority is to test your theories with the automated probe. Only then will we consider a manned mission through the barrier." Amelia's face broke into a triumphant grin, and she nodded firmly. "Understood. We'll begin construction of the probe immediately. I promise you, we won't let you down." As the meeting adjourned, the human team huddled together, exhilarated by the breakthrough and the consortium's cautious approval. They knew the challenges that lay ahead were immense, But the possibility of finally unraveling the galaxy's greatest mystery was too tempting to ignore. With renewed determination, they set to work, ready to take the first steps into the unknown. The construction of the automated probe moved forward at a frantic pace, with the human team working tirelessly alongside their alien counterparts from the consortium. Tensions were high as they knew the success or failure of this mission would determine the fate of any future attempts to breach the galactic barrier. Amelia Sinclair oversaw every aspect of the project, her brilliant mind racing as she fine-tuned the complex systems that would allow the probe to manipulate the subspace field surrounding the barrier. The specialized propulsion and power generation units were sources of particular concern, as even the slightest miscalculation could doom the entire endeavor. The energy output from the antimatter reactor has to be precisely calibrated, she stressed during one tense design review. If the subspace field projector wavers even for an instant, the tunnel could collapse, trapping the probe on the wrong side of the barrier. The alien consortium members listened intently, their expressions a mix of fascination and trepidation. They had seen the human team's simulations and prototype tests, but the prospect of actually attempting to breach the mysterious barrier that had confounded their civilizations for centuries was a daunting one. "We understand the stakes," Dr. Sinclair, Tyloth reassured her. "That is why we will be monitoring every step of the process, the slightest deviation from your models, and we will abort the mission immediately." Amelia nodded grimly, knowing that the consortium's caution was entirely justified. This was uncharted territory, and a single mistake could have catastrophic consequences. As the final preparations were made, she found herself consumed by a mixture of excitement and trepidation. Finally, the day of the test launch arrived. The human team and their alien counterparts gathered in the consortium's command center, their eyes fixed on the sleek, dart-shaped probe as it lifted off from the launch pad. Amelia held her breath, her heart pounding as the spacecraft accelerated towards the shimmering barrier that had imprisoned the Milky Way for untold millennia. As the probe neared the threshold, the tension in the room was palpable. Xyloth's clawed fingers gripped the edge of the console, his normally stoic expression betraying a glimmer of anxiety. Valora stood beside him, her eyes narrowed in concentration as she monitored the stream of telemetry data. "The subspace field projector is active and stable," one of the human technicians reported. "Approaching the barrier in 10, 9, 8. Amelia felt her pulse quicken with each passing second. This was the moment of truth. Would their calculations and theories hold up, or would the probe be destroyed in a spectacular display of cosmic power? 4, 3, 2, 1. Barrier penetration successful. A collective gasp swept through the command center as the probe's image on the main view screen flickered and then stabilized, revealing a vista beyond the galactic veil that left everyone present awestruck. Instead of the expected void, the probe had emerged into a vast, nebula-strewn expanse, dotted with stars and celestial phenomena, unlike anything the Milky Way's inhabitants had ever seen. Xyloth and Valora exchanged a stunned look, their expressions mirroring the sense of wonder and disbelief that permeated the room. "By the elders," Xyloth breathed, his voice barely above a whisper. "It worked. The humans have done it." Amelia felt a surge of triumph, but it was tempered by a deep sense of trepidation. They had breached the barrier, but what lay beyond? Was this unexplored region of space safe, or did it harbor dangers beyond their comprehension? "Initiate full sensor sweep," she commanded, her eyes fixed on the view screen. "I want a complete analysis of the environment on the other side." As the probe's instruments began transmitting a deluge of data, the consortium members pored over the readings, their expressions shifting from awe to a growing unease. "Gravitational and electromagnetic anomalies detected," Valora reported, her brow furrowed in concentration. "The spatial geometry in this region appears to be distorted in ways that defy our current understanding of physics." Xyloth nodded grimly. "And there's more. The probe's scans have detected the signatures of several unfamiliar celestial objects, objects that do not conform to any known stellar classifications in our databases. Amelia felt a chill run down her spine. "What are you saying, Xylov? What kind of objects are we dealing with?" The alien astrophysicist met her gaze, his eyes filled with a mixture of fascination and trepidation. "I'm not certain. But if our preliminary analysis is correct, then whatever lies beyond this barrier may not be of this universe at all." The command center fell silent, the weight of Xylov's words sinking in. Amelia turned back to the view screen, staring into the vast, unknown expanse beyond the galactic veil. They had breached the barrier, but at what cost? Had they opened a door to wonders beyond their comprehension, or unleashed something far more perilous? The data streaming in from the probe was both captivating and deeply unsettling. As Amelia Sinclair and the rest of the consortium pored over the readings, they found themselves confronted with phenomena that defied their most fundamental understanding of the universe. The spatial geometry of the region beyond the galactic barrier was warped and distorted in ways that seemed to defy the very laws of physics. Gravitational fields fluctuated erratically, while electromagnetic anomalies disrupted the probe's sensors. It was as if the fabric of reality itself had been altered, operating according to principles completely foreign to the inhabitants of the Milky Way. Xylov, the seasoned Vorilian astrophysicist, muttered under his breath as he studied the data, his expression a mixture of fascination and trepidation. "By the elders, this is unlike anything we've ever encountered. The very foundations of our scientific understanding are being called into question." Valora, the Gizrathi mathematician, nodded grimly, her slender fingers flying across the control interface as she cross-referenced the probe's findings against every astronomical model and theoretical framework in the consortium's databases. Preliminary analysis suggests the spatial and temporal properties of this region are fundamentally different from our own. It's as if the cosmos on the other side of the barrier operates under an entirely separate set of physical laws. Amelia felt a profound sense of both wonder and unease. This was precisely the kind of mystery that had drawn the human team to join the consortium's efforts in the first place. But now that they were confronted with the reality of what lay beyond the galactic veil, she couldn't help but wonder if they had unleashed something far more profound and potentially dangerous than they had bargained for. "Can the probe withstand the environmental stresses of this region?" she asked, her gaze shifting to the lead human engineer overseeing the mission control systems. The engineer grimaced apologetically. "I'm not sure, Dr. Sinclair. The subspace distortions and gravitational anomalies are putting a tremendous strain on the probe's systems. We're already seeing fluctuations in power output and sensor reliability. At this rate, I give it maybe another hour or two before the probe succumbs to the stresses of this alien environment." Amelia nodded, her mind racing. They had to act quickly if they were to glean any meaningful data from this historic mission. Turning to the alien consortium members, she spoke with a sense of urgency. "Xylov, Valora, what are the chances of sending a manned mission through the barrier? At least to conduct a more thorough survey of this region before the probe fails." The two aliens exchanged a long, weighty look. It was Xylov who finally responded, his tone grave. "Sending a crew through the barrier now would be exceedingly dangerous, Dr. Sinclair. The environmental conditions on the other side are simply too unstable, too unpredictable. We would be risking the lives of any explorers we dispatch, and the probability of them returning safely is alarmingly low." Amelia's heart sank, but she pressed on. "I understand your concerns, Xylov. But think of the significance of what we've discovered here. An entire cosmos beyond our own, operating under fundamentally different physical laws. The knowledge we could gain, the mysteries we could unravel." Valora raised a placating hand. "We share your scientific curiosity, Dr. Sinclair, but the safety of our crews must be the top priority. Perhaps with further study of the probe's data, we can devise more robust countermeasures to withstand the environmental stresses of this region. For now, I'm afraid we cannot in good conscience authorize a manned mission." Amelia opened her mouth to protest, but the gravity of Valora's words gave her pause. As much as she longed to lead a team of intrepid explorers through the barrier, the alien mathematician was right. The risks were simply too great. They couldn't jeopardize lives in the pursuit of knowledge, no matter how tantalizing the rewards. With a heavy sigh, Amelia nodded in reluctant agreement. "Very well. We'll focus our efforts on analyzing the probe's data, trying to glean as much as we can before it succumbs to the strain." She paused, her gaze sweeping across the tense faces of the consortium members. "But I want it understood that this is only the beginning. Humanity and the great civilizations of the Milky Way have come too far to be deterred by a few environmental anomalies. We will find a way to safely traverse this barrier, no matter what lies on the other side." The alien members of the consortium nodded, their expressions a mix of trepidation and grudging admiration. Amelia knew they shared her determination, but they were also keenly aware of the profound implications of what they had discovered. The cosmos beyond the galactic veil was a mystery unlike any they had faced before, and venturing forth would require a level of caution and preparation that would test the limits of their scientific and technological capabilities. As the countdown to the probe's inevitable demise ticked away, Amelia found herself consumed by a mixture of excitement and unease. They had taken the first step into the unknown, and the wonders that awaited them were as enticing as they were perilous. News of the human team's historic breakthrough spread like wildfire through the Milky Way, igniting a frenzy of activity and debate across the galaxy's civilizations. The consortium's announcement that they had successfully breached the mysterious barrier that had confined the inhabitants of the galaxy for centuries sent shockwaves through political, scientific, and religious establishments alike. For the first time in recorded history, the cosmos beyond the galactic veil had been glimpsed, and the implications were both exhilarating and deeply unsettling. The data transmitted by the ill-fated probe had revealed a region of space that defied the fundamental laws of physics as understood by the Milky Way's inhabitants, challenging centuries-old assumptions about the nature of the universe. Amelia Sinclair and her human colleagues found themselves thrust into the center of the galactic maelstrom, their names becoming synonymous with this profound discovery. Alien dignitaries and academics from across the consortium's member civilizations clamored for access to the team, each seeking to glean whatever insights they could from the trove of data that had been gathered. "This changes everything," declared Psyloth, the Vorilian astrophysicist, during a televised press conference. "The very foundations of our scientific understanding are being called into question. We can no longer pretend that the Milky Way and its inhabitants exist in isolation, separate from the greater cosmos." Valora, the Gizrathi mathematician, nodded solemnly beside him. Indeed, the environmental anomalies detected by the probe suggest that the physical laws we have long taken for granted may not apply in this unexplored region beyond the barrier. We are confronted with the unsettling prospect that our reality may be but a small fragment of a much vaster and potentially stranger universe. The public's reaction to this revelation was a complex and volatile mix of awe, fear, and uncertainty. On one hand, the prospect of unlocking the mysteries of the cosmos beyond the galactic veil captivated the imagination of countless beings across the Milky Way. The idea of discovering new worlds, civilizations, and scientific wonders was a tantalizing one, fueling a surge of enthusiasm and curiosity. However, the profoundly unsettling nature of the probe's findings also sparked deep unease and even outright panic in certain quarters. Religious leaders railed against the perceived hubris of the consortium's actions, warning that breaching the barrier could unleash cosmic forces beyond their understanding. Nationalist factions seized upon the news as a rallying cry, demanding that their respective civilizations focus inward and fortify their defenses against potential threats from the unknown. "We have become complacent, lulled into a false sense of security by the barrier that has protected us for so long," declared Zolar, the firebrand prime minister of the Varanian hegemony. "Now that we have torn down that veil, we expose ourselves to untold dangers. The time has come for us to stand united, to prepare for whatever horrors may lurk beyond the void. Amelia and her team found themselves at the center of this political and social maelstrom, their every move scrutinized and debated across the galactic information networks. Some hailed them as brave pioneers, while others condemned them as reckless, even treacherous, for daring to peer beyond the established boundaries of the Milky Way. Xyloth and Valora, sensing the growing unrest, attempted to calm the furor, urging caution and continued scientific inquiry. But their pleas for reason were often drowned out by the cacophony of voices, each clamoring for their own ideological agenda. We must proceed with the utmost care, Xyloth stressed during a closed-door meeting of the consortium. The data we have gathered raises as many questions as it answers. We cannot allow fear and political posturing to cloud our judgment. The safety of our civilizations depends on us maintaining a clear, rational course. Amelia nodded grimly, understanding the gravity of the situation all too well. The human team had inadvertently unleashed forces far beyond their control, forces that threatened to tear the Milky Way apart. And now, the burden of responsibility weighed heavily upon their shoulders. "Then we must redouble our efforts," she declared, her voice firm and resolute. "We've opened a door to a new frontier, one that holds the potential to transform our understanding of the universe. But we must proceed with caution, and we must do so united, not as members of individual civilizations, but as citizens of the Milky Way." The alien consortium members exchanged thoughtful glances, sensing the conviction in Amelia's words. They knew that the path ahead would be fraught with challenges, both scientific and political. But if they could navigate these treacherous waters, the rewards could be beyond their wildest dreams. With a renewed sense of purpose, they set to work, determined to unlock the secrets of the cosmos beyond the barrier, no matter the cost. In the weeks and months that followed the successful probe mission through the galactic barrier, Amelia Sinclair and her human team worked tirelessly alongside their alien counterparts from the consortium to analyze the trove of data that had been gathered. The wealth of information was both captivating and deeply unsettling, shattering long-held assumptions about the nature of the universe and the very fabric of reality. As the consortium scientists delved deeper into the probe's findings, patterns began to emerge that hinted at an even more profound revelation. The spatial and temporal anomalies detected in the unexplored region beyond the barrier did not appear to be random or chaotic. They exhibited a level of organization and complexity that suggested an underlying purpose, a design. It's as if the laws of physics we take for granted here in the Milky Way have been engineered, for lack of a better term. Valora mused during one tense meeting, her brow furrowed in concentration. The gravitational fields, the electromagnetic fluctuations, even the subspace distortions, they all seem to conform to a specific set of parameters, one that is fundamentally different from our own. Xyloth nodded gravely, his clawed fingers drumming on the table as he considered the implications. Which means the barrier itself may not be a natural phenomenon, but rather a deliberate construction, one designed to isolate our galaxy from the larger cosmos. Amelia felt a chill run down her spine. The human team had long suspected that the barrier was not simply a cosmic anomaly, but rather the product of some ancient, unseen intelligence. But the idea that it had been erected with the express purpose of separating the Milky Way from the rest of the universe was a revelation that shook them to their core. "You're saying someone, or something, put this barrier in place?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "But why? What purpose could such a thing serve?" The alien consortium members exchanged uneasy glances, their expressions tense. After a long, pregnant pause, Xyloth spoke again, his tone grave. "I'm afraid we may never know the true motivations of the beings who constructed the barrier. But based on our analysis of the anomalies detected on the other side, it seems clear that the Milky Way has been isolated, for lack of a better term, sequestered from the larger cosmic order." Valora chimed in, her usually calm demeanor betraying a hint of trepidation. The environmental conditions we observe beyond the barrier defy our current models of the universe. It's as if the very laws of nature have been rewritten in ways that we cannot yet comprehend. Whatever lies out there, it is not of our cosmos. Amelia felt her heart racing as the implications sank in. If the consortium's theories were correct, then the galaxy they had known and explored for millennia was but a small fragment of a much vaster and potentially far more perilous universe. And the beings responsible for erecting the barrier had done so with the express purpose of keeping the Milky Way's inhabitants isolated and confined. Then the barrier. It's not just a cosmic anomaly, she breathed, the realization dawning on her. It's a prison. We've been trapped here, cut off from the greater cosmos, for untold millennia. The alien members of the consortium nodded solemnly, their expressions grave. Tyloth spoke again, his voice tinged with a hint of trepidation. That is our working hypothesis, yes. The barrier was not created to keep something out, but rather to keep us in. Confined within the boundaries of our galaxy, unable to venture beyond, and uncover the true nature of the universe. Amelia felt a rush of emotions, horror, anger, and a profound sense of violation. All this time, the inhabitants of the Milky Way had believed themselves to be the masters of their own destiny, exploring the cosmos and unraveling its mysteries. But in reality, they had been prisoners, their very existence defined and circumscribed by an unseen force beyond their comprehension. We have to find a way to break through this barrier, once and for all, she declared, her eyes alight with determination, to uncover the truth of our origins and to reclaim our rightful place in the greater cosmos. The alien consortium members nodded in agreement, their expressions resolute. They knew the challenges that lay ahead would be immense and the risks incalculable. But the prospect of finally shattering the chains that had bound their civilizations for untold millennia was too tantalizing to ignore. With a renewed sense of purpose, they set to work, driven by a burning desire to unravel the greatest mystery of all, the true nature of the universe and their own place within it. As the consortium scientists delved deeper into the wealth of data transmitted by the ill-fated probe, an increasingly disturbing picture began to take shape. The anomalies detected in the region beyond the galactic barrier were not merely random aberrations, but rather the hallmarks of a deliberate, meticulously engineered construct. The more we analyze the sensor readings, the clearer the pattern becomes, Valora reported, her normally serene demeanor betraying a hint of unease. The gravitational fields, the electromagnetic distortions, even the fundamental properties of subspace. All of it appears to have been deliberately altered, shaped to serve a specific purpose. Tyloth nodded grimly, his clawed fingers drumming on the tabletop as he considered the implications. Which means the barrier itself is not a natural phenomenon, but rather a creation. A barrier erected by an intelligence far beyond our own understanding. Amelia felt a chill run down her spine as the full weight of Tyloth's words sank in. For centuries, the inhabitants of the Milky Way had assumed the galactic barrier to be an immutable cosmic anomaly, a veil that separated their domain from the greater mysteries of the universe. But now, it seemed clear that this barrier was in fact a deliberate construct, designed to isolate their galaxy from the rest of the cosmos. So you're saying, someone, or something, put this barrier in place? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. But why? What possible purpose could such a thing serve? The alien consortium members exchanged uneasy glances, their expressions tense. After a long, pregnant pause, Tyloth spoke again, his tone grave. I'm afraid we may never know the true motivations of the beings who constructed the barrier. But based on our analysis of the anomalies detected on the other side, it seems clear that the Milky Way has been sequestered, isolated from the larger cosmic order. Valora chimed in, her usually calm demeanor betraying a hint of trepidation. The environmental conditions we observe beyond the barrier defy our current models of the universe. It's as if the very laws of nature have been rewritten in ways that we cannot yet comprehend. Whatever lies out there, it is not of our cosmos. Amelia felt her heart racing as the implications sank in. If the consortium's theories were correct, then the galaxy they had known and explored for millennia was but a small fragment of a much vaster and potentially far more perilous universe, and the beings responsible for erecting the barrier had done so with the express purpose of keeping the Milky Way's inhabitants isolated and confined. Then the barrier, it's not just a cosmic anomaly, she breathed, the realization dawning on her. It's a prison. We've been trapped here, cut off from the greater cosmos, for untold millennia. The alien members of the consortium nodded solemnly, their expressions grave. Xyloth spoke again, his voice tinged with a hint of trepidation. That is our working hypothesis, yes. The barrier was not created to keep something out, but rather to keep us in. Confined within the boundaries of our galaxy, unable to venture beyond, and uncover the true nature of the universe. Amelia felt a rush of emotions, horror, anger, and a profound sense of violation. All this time, the inhabitants of the Milky Way had believed themselves to be the masters of their own destiny, exploring the cosmos and unraveling its mysteries. But in reality, they had been prisoners, their very existence defined and circumscribed by an unseen force beyond their comprehension. We have to find a way to break through this barrier, once and for all, she declared, her eyes alight with determination, to uncover the truth of our origins and to reclaim our rightful place in the greater cosmos. The alien consortium members nodded in agreement, their expressions resolute. They knew the challenges that lay ahead would be immense and the risks incalculable. But the prospect of finally shattering the chains that had bound their civilizations for untold millennia was too tantalizing to ignore. As the team delved deeper into the mysteries of the barrier's origins, a shocking realization began to emerge. The anomalies detected beyond the galactic veil were not merely the product of an advanced, extraterrestrial intelligence. They bore the unmistakable hallmarks of a civilization that had long since vanished from the known cosmos. By the elders, Xyloth breathed, his eyes widening with a mixture of awe and trepidation. The beings responsible for erecting this barrier, they are not of this universe at all. They are the remnants of a cosmic civilization that has long since passed from our reality. Valora nodded grimly, her fingers flying across the holographic display as she cross-referenced the sensor data with the consortium's vast repositories of historical and archaeological knowledge. The evidence is undeniable. The environmental distortions, the subspace manipulations, they bear the unmistakable signatures of a species that mastered the fundamental forces of the universe itself. Amelia felt a growing sense of unease as the implications of this revelation began to sink in. If the beings responsible for the barrier were truly not of this cosmos, then the true nature of the universe they inhabited was far more complex and perilous than anyone had ever imagined. "What does this mean?" she asked, her voice tinged with a hint of desperation. If these, creators of the barrier, are no longer present, then what other dangers might be lurking beyond the veil, waiting to be unleashed upon our galaxy? The alien consortium members exchanged grave looks, their expressions etched with a sense of foreboding. Xyloth spoke again, his tone heavy with the weight of the knowledge they had uncovered. "That, my dear Dr. Sinclair, is the question we must now seek to answer. For if the barrier was indeed constructed by a civilization that has long since passed from this universe, then we may be facing threats beyond our wildest imaginings." As the team prepared to embark on the next phase of their mission, Amelia couldn't help but feel a growing sense of unease. They had uncovered the true nature of the barrier, but in doing so, they had opened the door to a mystery far more profound, and potentially far more dangerous, than any of them had ever anticipated. The revelations uncovered by Amelia Sinclair and the consortium's team of scientists sent shockwaves through the Milky Way's civilizations. The startling discovery that the galactic barrier was not a natural cosmic phenomenon, but rather a deliberate construct created by a long-vanished extraterrestrial civilization, challenged everything the inhabitants of the galaxy had ever believed about the nature of their existence. As the consortium convened to discuss the implications of this earth-shattering finding, The air in the conference room was thick with a mixture of awe, trepidation, and a renewed sense of purpose. If the barrier was indeed erected by a civilization that is no longer present in our universe, Zilov began, his gravelly voice carrying a note of solemn gravity, then we must assume the reason for its creation is tied to threats and dangers that lie beyond its confines. Valora nodded in agreement, her slender fingers tapping thoughtfully on the holographic display that dominated the center of the table. The environmental anomalies we detected on the other side of the barrier suggest the existence of a cosmos fundamentally different from our own, one that may be governed by physical laws and cosmic forces that we cannot even begin to comprehend. Amelia Sinclair felt a chill run down her spine as the weight of their words sank in. The very foundation of the Milky Way's existence had been called into question, and the prospect of venturing beyond the galactic veil into a realm that defied their scientific understanding was both exhilarating and deeply unsettling. "Then we have no choice," she stated, her voice firm and resolute. "We must find a way to breach the barrier once more. And this time, we must be prepared to explore the mysteries that lie beyond. The safety and future of our civilizations may very well depend on it." The alien consortium members exchanged uneasy glances, clearly torn between their own scientific curiosity and the very real risks that such an endeavor would entail. Zilov in particular seemed conflicted, his brow furrowed in deep contemplation. "You understand the gravity of what you propose, Dr. Sinclair," he rumbled. "Crossing the barrier again will require resources and preparations beyond anything we have attempted before, and the dangers that may await us on the other side." He paused, his expression darkening. "They may be beyond our ability to comprehend, let alone overcome." Amelia nodded, her gaze unwavering. "I understand the risks, Zilov. Believe me, I do not make this proposal lightly. But we have a responsibility to our people, to the entire Milky Way, to uncover the truth of our origins and the nature of the cosmos we inhabit. We cannot afford to shrink from this challenge, no matter how daunting it may be." Valora raised a hand, her expression stern. "Then we must proceed with the utmost caution. Dr. Sinclair, any misstep, any miscalculation could have catastrophic consequences. We will need to mobilize the full resources and technological capabilities of our civilizations to ensure we are prepared for whatever awaits us on the other side of the barrier." Amelia nodded again, her mind already racing with the logistical challenges that lay ahead. "Agreed. I will work with my team to begin the planning and development of a new, more advanced probe, one capable of withstanding the environmental stresses we now know to exist beyond the galactic veil. And we will need the full cooperation and support of the consortium to make this mission a success." The alien members of the consortium exchanged a series of solemn glances, the weight of the decision they faced etched upon their features. After a long moment of tense silence, Zilov straightened in his chair, his expression resolute. "You have it, Dr. Sinclair. The consortium will commit the necessary resources and personnel to this endeavor. We may be launching ourselves into the unknown, but the potential rewards and the risks of inaction are simply too great to ignore." Amelia felt a surge of triumph, tempered by a deep sense of foreboding. They were on the cusp of a new frontier, one that promised to unlock the greatest mysteries of the cosmos, but also threatened to unleash dangers beyond their wildest imaginings. Yet she knew there was no turning back. "Then let us begin," she declared, her gaze sweeping across the assembled consortium members. "The time has come to shatter the chains that have bound the Milky Way for untold millennia, and to reclaim our rightful place in the greater universe." As the meeting adjourned and the human and alien teams set to work on the monumental task ahead, Amelia couldn't help but feel a growing sense of both excitement and trepidation. They were about to venture into the unknown, to confront the true nature of their existence and the forces that had shaped the very fabric of their reality. Whatever lay beyond the galactic barrier, she knew it would forever change the course of the Milky Way's civilizations, for better or for worse. But with a resolute determination, She and her fellow explorers were prepared to face that challenge, no matter the cost.